check.
Okay, we're going.
Luby Djanovic.
Why are you saying his name?
Say it 3 times.
It's got a lot of good sounds in it.
Yeah, it does.
Oh. Right, we're off. We're going.
Awesome.
Okay, so welcome to the first episode of Lamplight Social Records TV. I'm James Mainwaring, this is Johnny Lodder, and this is Herbie Hopkins. And we are the 3 band leaders of the first Lamplight Social official gig at the Leeds Jazz Festival, which is on the 28th of May. And each of us are bringing a different project. So, Johnny, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your project?
Yep. Hello. My project's called Ghost House. I started it over lockdown by making a bunch of EPs with different people. They were all duets. And then I took a long break. And now I'm starting to do a similar thing where I get different bands together and we play different music. And I'm going to try and record and release all of it. At the moment, I'm making a lot of different kinds of music, but it's closer to, I listen to a lot of trap music and a lot of sort of noise music, and it's somewhere in the middle with a lot of improvisation in it. And I think I'm trying to make music that's more, I'm trying to think about different ways that you can make and release music while still be improvising, not necessarily about what the material within the music is. I enjoy composing whatever, but trying to find interesting ways to put gigs together and release music. I think this gig will be good. It'll be trap music probably, with jazz on top. And Fergus will be there.
That sounds pretty cool. Looking forward to it, man.
Thanks.
What do you mean by that it'll be trap music? What kind of features will it have?
808s, basically, and fast hi-hats. I produce a lot. I make music basically on my laptop and then I give it to people to play. But all the music I've made for the last 2 years has essentially just been myself, like recording myself playing drums with 808s underneath it. And I think there's still interesting things. I'm not sure I've been to many gigs where like the sounds of 808s have been successfully recreated in a live setting. And I'm not saying I'm doing that now, but I like the idea of it. And I like putting electronics through the same sort of volume and feedback that you get from playing guitars live. So that's what I do.
Nice one. Herbie, do you want to tell us about your project?
Sure thing. I'm doing improvised conduction. I first found out about it about 8 months ago, and I was doing a workshop at the Barbara Hepworth in Wakefield, and Mark Sanders asked me to do an improvised conduction of a band in one room in the gallery and another band in the other. And I really, really enjoyed doing it because the amount of vocalists I had, not necessarily people who thought they could sing, but everyone can speak, And I really loved that opportunity. So one band I remember playing some really fast swing, just the drums. And in the other room, I got everyone to not play their instruments. I didn't care about their instruments at all, but just to whisper phrases that I would tell them to whisper, or within a framework they could improvise it. And I really love words a lot because I make music because I see some images in my head and I just really want to make those images come to life. I really do. And I can make any image using words. I've practiced it a lot. So having that many people who can help bring that to life by speaking, by singing, I really love it. And that's why in a lot of the gigs there's a lot of vocalists going around,
And what other instruments do you involve? or musicians, or
Sure.
specifically for this gig? Because your lineup changes every gig as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Johnny, I try to change the lineup every gig because I feel it just allows a bit more creative freedom, and especially at this stage where it's still very new to me, I like to be able to change as I'm learning. And for this gig specifically, I've got this awesome pianist called Yasha Bingham. Incredible, very lyrical, and uses the bass in a way which never muddies anything but just makes it beautiful and anchored. And I've got Luke Murray on electronics and guitar, who's great at creating textures and quite unexpected rhythms. Then I've got Harry Sauter on double bass, and he's only been playing double bass a couple, 8 months. So he just has this really, he really digs into it, he's really on it, he's not overly technical. And I love that so much. And then Sid Ravel on drums, very glassy sound, lots of subtle textures. Taruki Chan on kind of vocals, and whatever else he wants to bring to the gig, whistles, frogs, a bowed instrument. And then I've got Oliver Bolton on vocals as well. And then the band doesn't know it yet, but they're all going to be on vocals secretly.
Will the audience be on vocals as well?
Depends who's in the audience. But I've got an aim for this gig, man. I want to try and crowd surf. Because I think visually I'd really love to end the gig. I'd just get crowd surfed out the venue. That's how I want to end this gig if I can.
We'll have to sell some tickets then.
yeah. But,
Unless it's just two people doing like a Herbie Mexican wave.
Yeah. Anyway, what about you, James, man? What project are you bringing to this cool gig?
It sounds great, by the way. How many musicians is there in total then? Can you, off the top of your head? For yours, yeah.
I think 6.
6, cool.
Yeah. And Harvey, a saxophonist, is going to be nearby if he's needed, so that's great.
And Harvey's also in Johnny's band as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So he's just kind of...
He will be nearby.
Yeah. Ask him to keep his saxophone warm. That's what I usually do.
Good idea.
Yeah, what about your one, man?
So, my project features Ben Eyes on modular synths and visuals. So we'll have live audio reactive visuals on the gig.
Wow.
And Emil Karlsen on drums, who's an amazing improvising drummer who I've worked with for quite a while. And I've known Ben for, must be 10 years now as well. Who's an amazing all-rounder. And blows my mind a lot of the time with his technical knowledge and stuff. So it's called Meditations 1B, and it's because Meditations 1A already exists, and that's an album that I've kind of recorded, and it involves these kind of melodic concepts that I've been working on, based on 12-tone rows, very much inspired by John O'Gallagher's book 12-Tone Improvisation. And there's basically an infinite amount of material that can be made using these concepts, and I've been really inspired by it. So and that's why it's called Meditations 1B, because there's going to be at this rate there will be lots more of albums worth of material using the same concept, but which will sound very different depending on who's playing on it and what kind of sounds the individual tracks have and the melodies that the concepts produce. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys as well.
I was wondering, the three of us, you said maybe on the next album you have some different musicians, and Johnny changed his band and I changed my band. Does that ever make you feel isolated as the band leader? Because you don't have a solid base to to support your ideas?
Well, that's an interesting question, really, because I've battled with the concept of band leading for, up until the last year or two. Up until I did my last album, which is called Mycorrhiza.
Awesome album. I've
Oh,
listened.
thank you. And that was kind of the tipping point. I can't believe I used that phrase since I've got another band called Tipping Point. But I basically learned a lot about leading a band during that project because it's a tough one. Because you feel like you should have ownership over it, I think, and it's hard to kind of. I always found it easy to let others kind of contribute on a big level, But I think at the back of my mind I thought, no, you're the band leader, you need to figure out what you want to do and properly lead. But it's obviously a bit crazy to have thought like that, and now I'm totally okay with this project. For example, Emil and Ben are allowed to do whatever they want. I've given Ben the note groupings that I'm using to build the melodies for each individual track, but beyond that, and I like that approach, and that's why I work with improvising musicians, because they have a lot to offer. And I think the concept of a band leader is just somebody who's making things happen, there's a thing called quiet leadership as well.
What's that?
I did this artist development scheme called Hot House recently, and we had a guest speaker who was talking about her concept of quiet leadership, and it's just this challenging the idea that of this kind of, I don't know, masculine figure of somebody being quite loud and kind of micromanaging almost, and a good kind of public speaker, and all of those usual things that come with being this leader figure. But we've not always needed that. At the moment, she thinks that there's too much of that, and a lot of the quiet leadership gets overlooked, and sometimes that can be more effective. And I was just like, wow, that's like exactly what being a jazz composer or jazz group leader is all about, letting everyone express themselves in the way that they need to, and just kind of gently finding a direction for them all to go in the same direction with. And it gets rid of the hierarchy that classical music has. Composer, conductor, orchestra, soloist, audience, and puts everybody on the same level. That's kind of what I value with the music that we all play. And I think that's what makes it jazz and not something else. And jazz is a funny term, but let's not open that door.
What do you want me to say? I don't want to answer the jazz question.
No.
Not on episode 1.
How do you feel about that?
What, band leading?
Yeah.
I think I like making music, and I think when I want to have control over the music, I can make that myself in my bedroom. Sure. Like, I record myself and I produce music for myself, and I can ask other people to record with me, and in that situation I can make them, if I want them to play parts, I can do that. But on a live gig, the reason I play with the people I play with is because I want them to play, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Of course. And they are definitely better at what they do than what I could tell them to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I write is very maybe like rhythmically complex sometimes, but usually there's no like one chord, if that. Usually just like a tonal center, and I like making other people compose around that. I think that's more interesting. It means that every gig can be different, and everyone can be more comfortable. Yeah, and I think that's why I like playing drums, because I could just be at the back, and there's other stuff going on. Yeah. Anything else? Do you want to go?
Yeah. That's it's strange, you know. I was thinking about what you guys were saying, and it seems to me I agree very much that if you ask someone to play, I feel very passionately that you're asking them to play specifically because of their musicality. I don't really care about the instrument they play, so I'm asking them because of the musicality, so I really want them to express themselves, you know. I feel very passionately about that. So, and with the improvised conduction, where I guess I am basically I'm telling people what to do. There is quite a wide window, of course, where they can improvise, especially, you know, it's very loose instructions. But I guess I'm telling people what to do, so I'm trying to move away from that and see band leading as more of a visual thing. So for this coming gig, in my mind, instead of musical ideas, I've just got visual ideas of where I want to be on the stage at a certain moment, how I want to be moving my arms, how I want to be crouching down or standing up. And I feel that by building a set around these visual images, the musicians will be able to shine all that much more, because I haven't got any preconceived ideas of what the music should be, only what the images should be. So I'm really looking forward to this gig, especially as it's such a cool band. It's gonna be incredible, yeah.
Did you just think of that right now, or is that something you've been thinking about for a while?
No, I've been thinking about it for a while, definitely, because as I was saying, it's the visuals which I really care most about. You know, it's really what really drive me, and that's why I think I'm attracted to people like Bob Dylan so much, is because I get so many images in my mind when I'm listening to him. So, no, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I have some friends over at the Northern School dance, so I kind of see what they get up to, and I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. And with the rock music as well, people move their bodies and they express themselves, you know, like, you know, I'm a fan of the 1975, man. And, you know, when they're on stage, the way he's moving, that's a form of expression, you know. Fontaine's DC, they're expressing themselves in their movement, you know. And I love that, and I think it should be, well, something that I really want to explore. Oh, and there's this artist, yeah, who really inspires me, Rebecca Horn, man. She is incredible. She makes like these like body extensions, like these really long finger gloves, and like these trunks which come out of her face, and like a wingsuit where it's like feathers dancing on the shoulders, and it's incredible, man. And I guess that's a bit like what the mask is for. Like the mask is, you know, Bane and Batman. You know, that mask has captured my imagination for years, because there's just something subtly threatening about it when you cover up someone's mouth, you know. And like,
I'm loving the energy.
Well, anyway, so that's why I've covered up my mouth, because it's a threat, man, and I love it, and that's what Rebecca Horn does so well. And so that's what's really inspiring me, man, because I feel when musicians talk about their art, they can often mystify it a little bit, you know, or oh, it just came out of nowhere, man, I'm just in tune with the spirits, or they go the other way and just make it quite inaccessible by talking about technical things. And I'm sorry, I didn't. Sorry. But you know, I never used to like art at all, like visual art, like what people. And then my textiles teacher basically persuaded me to go to Art Foundation for a year before I came to uni. And I went there thinking, nah, I don't want to do any art. I just want to start a band. Like, but then I went to the library, man, and I just took out the art books, and it blew my mind. And then I started listening to artists' interviews, and the way they talk about their creativity is so much more communicative. And I tried to base my creative thoughts on theirs and use them as very much as just as my role models, really. Yeah, rather than the music people, I find.
Tell us more about your mask.
Oh, sure. So this is the 4th mask I've made, and I wear the masks because it's a way to become. It's two things. It's a becoming invisible, and it's also. Well, I'll talk about the invisibility first. It's because when I'm getting about day to day, when I'm buying a coffee, people are like, "Hey, there's Herbie. We know who this guy is. You know, he's getting around. He's usually quite cheery." And all of this, but when I put on my mask, you can't see Herbie anymore. You can only see Kyra. You know, Kyra's the name of my. She inspires me all the time. So you can only see Kyra. You can't see Herbie anymore, and I love that. That's amazing. And also, it's a bit of like a, you know, people get around and you kind of talk to people, and they have a set idea of who you are in their heads, don't they? You know, I don't know, James, quite chilled out guy, plays some cool sax, you know, but you've got so much else going on in your life. And it's the same with everyone. And when I put the mask on, I'm like, you know, you can't, you think you knew what was about to come up, but when I put this mask on, you can't see who you're used to anymore. I'm going to show you who I actually am, beyond my everyday buying coffee, you know. And that's another reason why I wear the mask, yeah.
Nice one. Is that it?
Do you want any more?
That's
We've got like,
20, we got over
yeah, we got like 50 million TikToks in there.
yeah,
amazing.
Chatting, man. I'm quite having a good time.
Yeah.
I hear more about these projects, you know.
So, 28th of May,
Yeah, get a ticket.
Lamplight Social Records,
Get a ticket.
electronic and improvised music with some
Get a
visuals.
ticket.
Get a ticket.
I might do some visuals as well. You inspired me.
Yes. More visuals,
Yeah.
the better. And also look out for the 30th of May at Salabar, featuring Matt Bourne, Dave Kane, Emil Karlsen, me, and then supporting comes from Harvey Christie Parkin Christie. Harvey Parkin Christie. Nika.
Nika Tachari.
The-
Nika Tachari, Taruki. Harvey Parkin Christie, apologies. Nika Tachari, Taruki Chan, and someone who I'm really excited to see because I haven't seen him around before. His name is Oliver, and he's going to be amazing, I'm sure.
Nice one. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.